5 months ago, I was sitting in a board meeting. And that was apparently my probably second board meeting. And in that meeting, I actually said that, Paligo is, as Nathan said, we were roughly, $11 million in ARR, almost profitable. Really, a very strong customer base of 500 enterprise customers across 38 countries. And actually, I told the board, we need to reinvent ourselves. Not extend the business, not grow the business, not, incrementally improve the revenue, but actually reinvent it. So actually, when you look into the quadrant that Nathan showed, I think we were somewhere between durable compounder and reinventing or dying. This is somewhere we are. Luckily, I still have a job and they didn't fire me. So I think, and that's the story I'm going to tell you about. So when I started, I think it was almost like a place where, I'm coming from a product and tech world, seeing all the things that is possible with AI, and then looking into, okay, what is actually possible? So what I'm going to tell you about is three things. Number one, the background of Paligo. I know many of you probably don't know Paligo, so very briefly, we'll rush through what actually Paligo is all about so that you understand the context. I'm going to talk about some frameworks that I'm using. And then last, very concrete learning that you can take home today. Concrete things that we have done in last 5 months, which is yielding results, so that very concretely you can take it home and apply it tomorrow into your business. So let's get started. Paligo. Very simple, as Nathan said, we are 11 million ARR business based out of Solna in Stockholm, 87 people, many nationalities. We are so proud of that. A great culture. We were nearly profitable. And if you look into every SaaS physics, every SaaS metric, actually we are a pretty good business. So one could also say that, hey, we are actually just doing fine. Why to reinvent and why to actually even bother about all of this? And of course, we are also backed by two well-known private equity, A&D in Stockholm, and also Grow Capital from Copenhagen, right? And and they have been one of the biggest supporters actually of this strategy as well, which you're going to see that as well in a bit. So this is very quickly, what is Paligo? Paligo is a tool, in this industry. It is called Content Component Management System, CCMS. Essentially, what we do is we have a very easy-to-use tool to write content, especially when you have complex content needs. When you have multiple products in your portfolio, when you have multiple languages to manage, all of a sudden your complexity becomes so much that you need a tool where you can reuse content and collaborate together in the organization and then publish, translate, but also integrate with different systems like any help authoring tool, or for example, any knowledge bases, but also any help desk as well, like Zendesk, Intercom, and the likes. So we provide 30 integrations on the other side. So I joined Paligo in 1st of December, so I'm fairly new actually. I still feel, one side I feel I'm very new, on the other side I feel I'm part of the furniture, right? Because the 5 months in this AI native world is just crazy. So Nathan has talked about this, so I'm not going to go into this. When I started, this is what I was given to, right? All of a sudden, I signed, my contract with Paligo probably somewhere in late summer last year. The whole SaaSocalypse, right, or SaaS, what we call SaaS massacre sometimes, right, was not there. And then here I started as a brand new CEO, where actually everyone is talking about multiple compression, right? And then everyone is talking about actually that, the SaaS is dying. Even 1.5 years ago, Microsoft CEO already said that SaaS is dead, and essentially SaaS app is nothing but a simple layer on top of CRUD databases, right? That's what Satya said. And now here I am actually into a company which is purely a hardcore traditional SaaS. What to do? And then fast forward a couple of months I started, then the whole Opus 4.7 came in with Anthropic, and it really changed the game. The valuation you can see, this, and I think Nathan talked about it, so I'm not going to delve into this slide. But this is what, for me, was also the moment of, okay, what the hell I should do now that I'm starting in a completely new company. And with a traditional SaaS, where everyone's saying is the company that I'm joining is going to die because of the big boys coming in, what to do? And so that's what it is. I was actually, or Paligo and me and my team, we were in a perfect storm. This is even before I started at Paligo, right? And the storm was very simple. AI disruption, which is basically putting pressure on user-based or seat-based pricing. And this is how we monetize. This is how we go to market today. This is how we sell our product. So we have a platform fee, and then we have a seat-based licenses today. And of course, that is really resulting into what we call, and this compounds. So here I am, right, while I was about to take over, and actually I'm sitting in this SaaS crisis, or this perfect storm that I talk about. And yeah, this was the slide, actually, the very similar slide I shared to the board that time. What should we do? Should we continue and then probably focus on let 10, 15, work really hard and then focus on that 10, 12% growth? Or should we really reinvent ourselves? And of course, me coming from a tech side, from a product side for the last 25 years, I actually said that no, I didn't join this company to incremental 10, 12% revenue growth. My ambitions were very high, and actually there is something that Paligo has that probably the world has not seen. But then I also thought about it, right? What the traditional companies are doing today, right? So if I was not there, and if I was not thinking about, pivoting towards reinventing, if it was a traditional CEO coming in with a traditional, and I'm sure some of you might also feel it today, right? Very comfortable, actually. Remember, it's 11 million ARR, growing at more than 10, 12% growth, nearly profitable, good margins, really great team. All of that is very comfortable, right? And of course, if I have to really still deliver my rule of 40, I can still have room to cut the cost and then still show some kind of profitability. And I'm sure many of us in this room feel the same, right? But we also know that because of AI, actually the growth is stalling. This is how actually this is what's happening, right? It's basically that all the traditional SaaS companies who are not thinking about this. This is actually the frog gradually sitting in a gradually boiling water. And it's feeling comfortable. Why? Because the growth is coming still, right? And still you can really still have that momentum from the past that can take you into the future. How does the marketing look like in such a company, right? Especially now that this AI hype is coming, right? Everyone is adding AI power to everything, right? AI power to this, you're bolting on AI features, right? Same product and different lipstick. This is what we are, a lot of companies, traditional SaaS companies, this is also the option I had. That what about I can put AI this and AI that on my top of my product and then try to sell? Because this is what customers are asking for. Give me AI. First discussion is about this. But what we don't realize is that if you are in the industry for 5 or 10 years, you have a sufficient amount of tech debt and a product debt and a UI debt. If you put any AI feature on top of that, you're essentially putting a lipstick on that pig, but don't realizing the pig is still ugly and still fat. And that's the reality we all sit in. And I have been sitting on top of that pig in many of my previous jobs as well, right? So I can completely understand that. And by the way, this picture I've also used many times in a different context, and it works all the time, right? And now it works in the AI native world as well. Now, product in a traditional world, right? The product and engineering in a traditional setting, right? Unclear product vision now. What the hell I do? Well, my CEO is chasing, from the roof saying that I want AI this, AI that. Board is saying the same, and my engineers are going crazy with agentic tooling. What the hell I do? What I do with the product? The product manager and the head of product, the VP product, has a very difficult task there. Unclear product vision, unclear outcomes you want to achieve now, because all of a sudden the outcomes are very different. And the whole organization is living in this AI psychosis. And then running in all different directions. I actually brought this clip from Monty Python. This is what's happening with the product, all different directions. And then last, my favorite, engineering. I come from tech side, so everyone, including engineering, in the rest of the organization, is basically they continue while everyone, the go-to-market, the CEOs, the C-suite, all of us are talking about, and the board talking about AI. Engineering is just busy with, poor guys, busy with the tech debt on those square wheels, right? While someone is trying to give them a circular wheel, but actually, no, I'm so busy with my tech debt and my user debt and my UX debt, right? This is the reality of most of the traditional SaaS companies. And this was the reality of Paligo as well, and I will not sugarcoat this, right? This is how I inherited Paligo. So this is exactly what we did. No, actually, no. This is not what we did, right? So I think, and I'm going to show for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show what actually we did right from the beginning. And I'll try to give you a recipe that we followed. It worked well for us. I really hope that some of it will also work for you. So I think this slide is really the main slide. If you want to take one thing out of this presentation, this is the slide. P equal M times V. Anyone in the room know what is that? No. So I don't think no one, I'm sure you all have studied physics in your early days. P is momentum, M is mass, and V is velocity. Momentum is equal to mass times velocity. Momentum is what you have, once you have the right mass and we have the velocity. Your mass, every single company in this room, you have your mass. Your mass could be a moat, it could be your data, it could be a customer, it could be a brand, it could be your distribution. Anything that you have done for last many years that you existed as a company, that's your mass. Each of us has it, whether we are successful or not. What we all don't have in this world of AI is a velocity. Velocity of redeploying that mass with an AI native speed. That's the velocity that we don't have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what we did in terms of momentum. By the way, the name of the strategy that I rolled out is called momentum, right? And it's basically out of this, right? So for you to find your mass is I think, what we did at Paligo, we went to first principles. We really looked deeply into why do we really stand? Why do we really exist for last 10 years? Right? What is it that we do? Not the product we sell, not the feature we sell, but what is really the core of Paligo, right? And then started to think about what that moat could do to us in an AI native world. For us to do this, actually, what we did, everyone is talking about AI and agentic. So we have this hypothesis that we ran ourselves, right? And I'm sure you will probably find a similar hypothesis in your industries and in your companies. We actually said that the world is going agentics with agents. We know that agent requires agency, right? This is very clear, right? The ability to take action is what agency is all about, right? And we know that agency requires control. And control, remember, when we give control, we only give control when we are confident about someone's ability, right? Then only we give control. And control requires trust. And trust comes from credibility and repeatability. If repeatedly give right answers or if you do the right thing all the time, you build trust. And trust requires structured truth. And then structured truth requires Paligo. And for us, structured truth is structured content and structured data. If this hypothesis is true, I think Paligo is sitting on a gold mine that we have not thought about that time when we started this strategy. And this is exactly the gold mine that I talk about. So we found our moat, we didn't see it before. And it's not built actually. So it's not I built the moat together with the team when I came in. This moat was there all the time. This data moat was there all the time. We discovered it by really going through first principles and really looking into deeply, talking to the experts inside the company, talking to the founders who have been in their company even now for the last 10 years, right? And then we said structure authoring that we do today on the product that I showed. This is the 10 years of DNA and heritage that we have that we need to leverage in this world of AI native. And then that mode was actually like, the DocBook XML, the structure and the standard that we use to structure content. This has the highest semantic depth that you need to create context on the downstream side of agent. But we never appreciated that in terms of agentic. We always appreciated in terms of technical and product documentation, where we come from. Every piece of content, every piece of component that we write is on a component level with provenance and lineage. Again, AI, if you want to deliver AI with hallucination-free solutions, you need provenance and lineage and governance. No one else talks about it. Even the frontier models don't talk about it today. Governance, so that you have audit trail. And then, of course, the 10 years of heritage and the data and the corpus, as also what Nathan mentioned in his keynote. I mean, the mode that we sit in, the corpus we sit in, we have more than 1.4 billion words under governance, and we have more than 3 million topics and components inside our corpus, which actually has all of this. Imagine if we can put this into use for the future. And this is how we move from a system of record to a system of action. This is what the agentic needs, not system of record. If you are only a system of record, what's going to happen is the big boys are going to come and then they're going to sit on top of your stack and suck all the information. So we actually really saw this very early. And to all of you in this room, I genuinely believe, your moat is already there. In your organization, in your go-to-market, in your distribution, in anything that you have done for the last many years that your company has existed, your moat is there. All you need to do is that you haven't seen it, and you need to really go to first principle and then challenge yourself. So once you have identified your moat, that is your mass, I think the most of the time we all actually know, everyone talk about execution. I think we heard it in the main stage, right? Execution in this world, in AI native world, is all about velocity. Us as a leader, as a CEOs, what we need to do is how do you create that velocity in the organization? And I'm going to talk about that now. So what we did actually, so this is again a part of the velocity. I have a framework that these are the questions you can steal it with pride. So these are the questions that we ask ourselves. And the question is basically simple. Reimagine your customer within an AI native world. First of all, I would say that even stop optimizing for the buyer and user that you have today. But look into what does it require for you to get 10x of your revenue from the existing customer. That's what's happening in the world of AI today. Similarly, reimagine your product. Do you think that your product will still be used by a human in a year from now or 2 years from now? We decided very early that no, Paligo will be the product that I think the output of Paligo will not only be used read by humans but also used by agent. So are we preparing our product for agentics or not? And that really changes how you look at the product and how you develop the product. And then you need to look into the category. And I think this is probably one of the most important questions. You need to answer for yourself. Are you a tool? Are you a platform? Or are you an infrastructure? And this really changes how you go about things inside your company. This will not only that, this will define your multiple, the multiples we talked about earlier, right? It will define your multiple. If you're a tool, you are at best, in my mind, 3 to 4x maximum in today's world. If you're a platform, maybe you're 7 and 8x. And if you're an infrastructure, mission critical infrastructure, you can still garner 20x. Right? So you need to think about that, right? And get this right, everything else become possible. So this is what we did on the questions I talked about. So actually, Paligo, right? So we reimagine our customer. Our users today are tech writers. They are probably one of the most underappreciated users or the employees in the organization, simply because they sit in a corner and do all the grunt work. And actually, we said that, hey, you know what? We need to make our users super users now, moving forward. Or one of the most skilled people in the organization who will help powering your agentics. How do we provide the tool to them? So actually, those tech writers in the age of AI, they're going to become content orchestrator, content directors. And we need to make sure that we provide the tool for them, not only for authoring, but actually to orchestrate content for agentics. And then our buyers, we're going to move away from a very small wallet share to a much larger wallet share, right? And then we reimagine the product, right? And I'm looking at the clock now. So yeah, reimagining the product, we actually build we went from only an authoring tool to an ingestion and from ingestion to consumption all the way. And then we reimagine the category, mission critical infrastructure, right? And then actually, this is what we are building now. So you can see here, basically, we come from the bottom right side, from essentially building a tool to create content, to actually not only create, but publish content, but also ground and consume content. This is what we did, and this is what we are building now with Paligo, and what we call a mission-critical content infrastructure, and this is what we call, as a mission, we call it structured truth layer for enterprise AI. This is the semantic layer that no one talks about today for agentics. So I have few concrete examples that I would like to really rush through very quickly. So we all know that AI is basically there are two areas where AI is giving the biggest ROI. One is go-to-market and support, and on the other side, you have engineering. And I have very concrete examples of what we did there. What we did here is meet Leah. Leah, 6 months ago, she was our BDR. And she was a part of the team of 5. Where they were doing, as normal BDR do, cold calling, sequencing, booking meetings, right? That's what she do. Today, she has changed her role completely to a go-to-market engineer, And what she does is she actually has now 2 new colleagues, Wally and Sophia. Let me introduce Wally and Sophia. Wally is basically our MQL to SQL conversion agent. Meaning that basically, Wally convert our MQL to SQL all the way. Wally is much faster and more consistent. And Wally never had a bad Friday because it works 24/7. Sophia is our superhuman AI specialist and SDR. She sits on the top of the funnel. And basically, every time she comes in, she qualifies and everything, right? And then, this is what the results are now, right? You can see with Sophia, we already have 300 conversations with the end customer. She has booked 15 meetings. And actually, we have from an ROI, from, moving from 5 humans in that team to 1, which is Leah, and everyone else we convert into AE. So they are closing the deals now. Another example, on engineering, meet Nicholas. Nicholas actually is in the room sitting there. So Nicholas is actually VP Engineering in Paligo. Today, Nicholas is running what I have introduced called Paligo Labs. It's a team of 5 people that we have what I call builders. They essentially are building the feature of Paligo with 5. They are completely agentics, using full agentic work. They're completely off from the traditional Paligo, how we execute on Paligo. And what they're doing is with 5 people team, they're doing a work of 100 people. And using agentic and agentic coding and everything else we have. And this is the thing, team of 5, 100% agentic, and actually they're going to ship in next quarter what we are trying to build for enterprise AI. We changed the culture significantly, and I'm out of time, so I'm going to go very quickly. What we did, other than that, we looked into our values. We have evolved our values completely. We introduced the 6 new values in Paligo, which we live by every single day. We hired for what I call builders, where we look for clarity and judgment. We look for taste, curiosity, velocity, and orchestrated mindset. This is how we are hiring people now. We actually built up a completely new LMS using Lovable. We replaced our LMS completely, and we built it with Lovable. And I know I'm well out of time now, but I'm happy to take a few questions now, and I think we start now.
I think we have to wait on questions. Yeah, we'll stay on time here, but guys, give it up, please, for Rahul. Thank you.